Okay, so the next thing that we want to do after we've set up our goals and the calorie requirements for the people that we are preparing for, we want to at least familiarize ourselves with this next sheet in the needs and wants section. And this is where you set up, where you tell the Ultimate Prep system how many servings of each category that you want to prepare for, so that you have a diversity of food, right? So you avoid food fatigue if there's ever a disaster or SHTF situation. So, why this is important, why this sheet is important, is because it's what drives the accuracy of this graph right here. And this graph tells you, basically anything under the 100% level here, it would be considered a gap in terms of servings. It means that you would run out of servings of these categories first. Okay, so if any of these categories are of high importance to me, for example meat, then I would want to focus on that in my preparedness efforts. If you have not set up your servings per day preferences here, whether you're new to the system or you've been using the system for a long time, you will want to do so as soon as you can, and it's something that you'll want to refine over time. It may not be a set it and forget it type of thing, because you might have some initial thoughts about how many servings of each category you want to plan for when you first get your Ultimate Prep system. But then as you start adding items to your food inventory, you may realize, you know what, I need to better balance my calories across these different categories, and to ensure that food variety. So let me just go into this sheet and show you what this looks like. You can see that this is a demo system, but you can see here, you see the food category, you see a column for the expected servings per day per person, and this is the column that you will enter your values in. All these other columns are locked. So this is the column that you'll use to indicate how many servings per day per person you want to plan for each food category. This next column is a calculation of the stored number of days that you have on hand based on your food inventory in terms of servings of each of the categories based on the expected servings per day per person. Okay, so, and then the last column is the approximate calories per day per person for that category based on the number of servings and based on what you have in your food inventory. So that's all calculated for you. Okay, so what I want you to focus on is entering some initial values here, and then as you start seeing the results in this column, you can dial in your plan in terms of your servings. So for example, breakfast, I have 1 serving per day per person. I categorize things like oatmeal, and other breakfast type of items into that category. Beverages, 1.5 servings per day per person. There's some of these that I'm only planning for 1 serving every certain number of days. You can see here dessert, I'm planning on 1 dessert per person. Well, sorry, one dessert for every 4 days, right? 1 dessert every 4 days per person. Here, a serving of fruit every other day per person, for example. So then based on the amount of fruit that I have in my food inventory, it's telling me, and the number of servings that I'm planning to use, it's telling me, okay, I've got 333 days worth of servings of fruit, and it comes out to approximately 41 calories of fruit per day per person. It's just averaging out, so it's more like 80 calories every 2 days. But this is really helpful because if you see that the total is really low, it means you're not planning on enough servings of these different categories. So yeah, this is important. So this is around 1,900 calories, which is a good average for me, myself and my family. So that's pretty much all there is to it here. Some of these categories could have a lot of servings per day. You know, for ingredient, I might I have, you know, different things that aren't represented by other categories that might be ingredients that I use in, you know, many different types of meals. And for example, like spices and seasonings, right? I think spice and seasoning is really important to have prepped, because, you know, you can take the same dish and you can use different spices or seasonings and make things taste very different. So that's a really important prep in my mind. So I'm planning for 7 servings per day per person of spice and seasoning, for example. You can have water down here if you know water. A general water category is included as a default. Some people get more granular than that. You know, in terms of my planning or in this demo system, you know, I have it more granular. So there's, you know, a certain amount of water for cleaning, cooking, and drinking, and you can see how many servings per day per person I'm planning on these. But these so-called servings are actually ounces. So yeah, so this is a really important step. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with this. Come back, you know, get things dialed in, and this will be really illuminating, I think, for you as you start to, you know, plan out exactly how many servings of each type of food you're planning on, and then, you know, what that turns out to be in terms of stored days of servings and average calories per day per person based on those servings. So with that said, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video.